how's it going?
I'm great. How are you, Jessica?
I am very excited to talk about speaking part 2 today. I love talking about speaking strategies and helping students relieve some of that pressure, take away some of the mystery, and help people feel more confident before their speaking test.
Yes, especially when it comes to speaking part 2. 2 minutes is a long time to fill.
Really
You
long
really
time.
strategies. We got a great question about this today, and we're going to give you guys strategies as well as a sample answer so you can see this in action.
Yes, exactly. And guys, if you are not following our show, hit follow right now because we don't want you to miss one of our amazing episodes. One of my recent favorites is episode 1343, speaking part 1 vocabulary for dithering. I love that episode so much. And if you don't know what dithering means, you're missing out. It means you missed that show. So go back, scroll up in your feed, and play that episode, guys. And remember to hit follow so you don't miss one of our awesome lessons. Okay, Aubrey, can you read that first question, please?
Yes, this was from Joao, one of our students. So shout out to Joao. And he asked, do I have to cover the 4 prompts given with the topic card to increase my score? Really good question. Possibly the most common question I see from students. And I don't blame you, right? You go into part 2 or you're practicing for part 2, you see the question, you see those 3 prompts, and it's tricky to know, like, does the examiner read those? Is this part of my score to answer those? So we are going to give you a lot of insight today.
Yes,
Spoiler
yes.
alert, no, you don't have to answer those 3 prompts.
Yeah, I know it's really hard for students to sort of believe this information because if we think about writing task 2, right? You have to address all parts of the question in order to get even a 6 for task
Right.
response, right? The rules are different for speaking, okay? Think about it. So there are 3 parts of the speaking exam. All the questions are totally different. Part 2 is weird as heck. Like, this doesn't happen in real life, right? Um, but even though all of these questions are so totally different, the format, the topic, everything's different. What the examiner is grading you on is the same in all 3 parts. Okay. So, what I mean to say is there's nothing on the scoring rubric specific to part 2 that says candidate addressed all the bullet points in the part 2 card. There's nothing in the scoring system about that. Examiners don't care. You're not scored on it. Okay? So that's the first thing. Nope, doesn't affect your score if you follow them or don't follow them. You only have to stick to the topic. That's it. Now, here's the second reason. What if students are really focused on those bullet points, Aubrey, those prompts on the card? What happens?
Yes, if you only stick to those prompts, your answer will likely be too short. They're often questions that are like a yes or no question or could be answered with 1 or 2 words. And if you're really focused on those, it might be difficult to expand on that and add lots of extra detail.
Mhm.
So instead, we always share the strategy of telling a story.
Yes.
Share the before, the during, after. There are so many ways this will increase your score. You'll be more likely to add linking phrases to link your ideas and show how the story moved along. And you'll be
Mhm.
able to share so much more detail and interesting vocabulary from your life when you're telling this story.
Exactly, exactly. It's so much easier to have like emotions come out and have that impact your expressive pronunciation. Like Aubrey said, showing specific vocabulary because you're moving through a story and telling its details and describing things that happened and things that you saw. So really, guys, this is the best strategy. Just a few days ago, we got a comment on our YouTube channel, IELTS Energy TV, asking for us to share a part 2 strategy. And that's really it, guys. Tell a story. And one of the easiest ways I think to tell a story is, like Aubrey said, following that before, during, after method. So, say for example, the question is about like describe an object you bought or a product you bought that you never used. Talk about what your life was like before you bought the product, right? Why you wanted it in the first place. Talk about the action of buying it How did you choose it? Where did you go? How much did it cost? Blah, blah, blah. And then after that, you have the product. Why didn't you use it?
Exactly, right? As opposed to the 3 prompts for that might be very simplistic. What did you buy? Where did you get it? How much did it cost?
Right.
Something like that, which you could answer in 10 seconds
Yeah.
and then really struggle to come up with more details. So instead, if you're sharing a story, everything that happened before, during, and after, you will not lack for interesting details to provide.
And I've seen that happen to candidates on the test, guys. Remember that I was an examiner for 14 years, and I saw students do that where they look at the bullet point and then they say something, they look at the next bullet point and then they say something, and they cannot fill more than a minute. Minute max with that with that strategy. So don't trust the bullet points. Okay. Now our esteemed Miss Aubrey is going to give us a sample answer, and I'm going to keep track of the time and give a little bit of feedback afterwards. So, here is the topic. Describe a song that's very meaningful to you.
I was actually named after a song, and I think my very earliest memory actually is my dad waking me up. I was very little, maybe 5 years old, but I remember it like it was yesterday. He got me out of bed and quietly took me downstairs, and this was very rare for me to be up. It was late at night, it was dark out, and brought me down by the radio, and this song was playing, and both of my parents were there. All my brothers and sisters were asleep, so I felt very special, and they played this song and said, "You're named after this song." And it was the first I had heard it. The name is Aubrey. It's by a band called Bread, like a classic rock 70s band named Bread. And it was beautiful. I remember thinking it was so pretty and feeling so unique to have this gorgeous song named after me, but also just feeling surprised that it was the first time I was hearing it because we didn't own the record or the cassette. So they hadn't yet been able to play it for me. They had to wait till it came on the radio. And so they woke me up in the middle of the night so that I could hear this song. And my dad and I talk about that sometimes when we get together. I'll say, "Do you remember when you woke me up in the middle of the night to play that song for me?" And he will get teary eyed. He'll kind of tear up that I remember that because he says, "You were so little." And I don't remember much before maybe age 13, but that really sticks in my brain as an early formative memory to feel like my parents really cared about me and named me after a song that they both love. I feel like I remember them dancing, like they were standing and kind of started dancing because it is a romantic, a beautiful love song about, this girl and her beautiful name. And so,
Thank you. Thank you. Um, did that 2 minutes feel long?
not really. I was about to
Oh,
start talking about when I hear the song now, right? How nostalgic it is. That went really fast. That felt like 30
yeah.
seconds.
Awesome, awesome. So I wanna point out, how Aubrey demonstrated our strategy here, right? I mean, when we tell you to tell a story, it you might get an easy topic like describe an experience or an event. You could
Mm,
tell a story. That is a story, right? A story of an experience or an event you went to. But describe a song, like how do we turn that into a story? So, the way Aubrey talked about the before was saying like she was in bed, right? She hadn't even heard the song yet, and then the during is really the activity of being shown the song by her parents and that whole story about what happened, and then she moved to the after where she's like, "Present day, we still talk about this," and my dad gets teary-eyed. So you could see, guys, that just chronological order, right? Time. This is how you wanna organize your part 2 answer. If you listen to Aubrey's answer again, you'll notice linking words that move us through the story, right? And then years later, stuff like that. I do want to push back a little bit here because the topic is describe a song, and you didn't start actually
mm.
describing the song until the end, right? I'm not going to get those details of the song, but that wouldn't have impacted your score, Aubrey, because you still described it a bit. Right? Like it's a beautiful song. It's by the band Bread. It's not like you did describe the song enough, but
Interesting.
I still wanted to know like what is it about? What happens in the song? You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Um,
Yeah, I eventually shared like, "Oh, it's a love song," about
yeah,
but
yeah.
I didn't go into a lot of details about, like, what the song's about, so yeah, that's interesting. It's
Um,
interesting reading the prompts for this because I read them and it says the name of the song, who sings it, what the song is about, and
mhm.
if I answered those prompts, the first 2 would go so fast, I would have
Yeah,
to think for a while, like, "What is the song about?" Well, it's about a woman that the singer's in love with, which I did share, but
yeah.
that's about it, right? It's just kind of saying, Aubrey was her name, a very lovely girl. Like that's about it, right? It's not a very deep song. It's
Oh,
beautiful, which I shared. It's like a really
nice.
pretty song, but it's
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
just saying like,
You did
I knew a pretty
describe the
girl named
song.
Aubrey.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's true though, because you did like there were adjectives describing the song and when it was from the 1970s, what genre, what band. Okay, I take it back. You did
You were just
describe a
so
lot
wrapped up
about
in
the
the
song.
story,
I
Jessica.
know. All I was picturing was like little Aubrey in her bed tiptoeing down the stairs with her like it was such a sweet story.
Oh.
I loved it so much. All right. Oh man, band night answer. Amazing. All right, guys, remember to hit follow right now because we really give you the best strategies and the real-time insider tips and insights into the IELTS exam and your score. So hit follow right now so you never miss an episode. 2 days a week, we bring you new episodes Tuesdays and Fridays.
Awesome. Thanks, Jessica. I will see you next week.
All
Bye,
right,
guys.
sounds good. Bye, Aubrey.
Bye.